Hello and welcome back to another episode of Doctor in a Bikini. Today I have a long overdue guest. You may or may not know her. Her name is Marine Prevost. I feel so stoked to have you on here today. Like I just said before I hit record, you and I have been a part of the same bodybuilding team, the same Collections by Collins group, and it's very clear everyone around you loves you and gravitates towards you. So I felt like it would just be rude if I didn't have you on the podcast to share with the world. So if you could maybe just give a little bit of information just off the top about you.
Yeah, so long story short, I was actually born in France. I grew up a little all over. I lived in Africa for a while, moved to the States on a tennis scholarship, did my undergrad in LA, moved here for grad school, ended up graduating. I'm an audiologist now. I do personal training on the side, and I also do bodybuilding. So kind of
Woo!
my life in a nutshell, really, really quick.
Hey, what a casual intro there. And also for those who don't know, she does have her doctorate. So I don't know if that's to the point where every single audiologist has to have their doctorate or not. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
okay. I
Mhm.
hate that I have to ask that question because people ask PT all the time, and I'm
I
always
bet.
like, so I'm throwing it out there for people who don't know just all your credentials, because I feel like that's so valuable with the training services that you're providing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I have my doctorate.
It's casual. As you like, yay, that thing that I worked for a long time. I understand. And you had quite an eventful season. I just kind of want to get right into it last year because
Mhm.
one thing that you didn't mention, but I know personally, you are currently battling cancer. Is that correct?
Correct. It's been a long journey for me. So I don't know if you want me to get into that aspect of things and then kind of what happened with bodybuilding last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you're comfortable sharing.
So I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2011. I was very young. I found out by myself. I was 19. And then they told me it was the best type of cancer to have. Like it would be one and done. I would get surgery and then I'd be done. So I got my thyroid removed in 2011. I got a radioactive iodine treatment back then. And then my blood work got worse in 2014. So I got another treatment. And ever since it was kind of stable. And then in 2020, same thing, blood work got worse. I got another surgery. And then it had been stable until then. And then last year, my blood work got worse again. And I mean, it's over 10 years now. It's been over 10 years. So I started stressing over it and I thought to myself, oh crap, like I'm not just going to linger in my anxiety and just like things that are out of control in my life right now. So I started training with actually Jennifer Dory last year at the very last minute. And I was like, hey, this is crazy, but you have a show in November. Like it's in 3 weeks. Can I enter it? What do you think? I don't want to look crazy on stage. Like, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I need my to get my mind off of things and bodybuilding I can control. I hadn't competed in a hot second. I think I hadn't competed in like a year and a half.
Mhm.
And that wasn't even my plan for last year. And she was like, let's do it. So I took a prep 3 weeks out and
Wow.
yeah, I got on that stage. Honestly, it was probably one of the best experiences ever because I knew, you know how like you have to get your why when you compete because you really like need to do it for like a reason, like for yourself. And I had my why and it was the easiest prep I've ever done. I mean, granted, it was super short, but I was like, I was all in. And then we finished the prep and I was like, well, my scan is in like a month. I'm like, can we do another show?
Oh,
So we did another show in December. And then after that, I had my scan. I kind of took a break from like gym and just being really regimented because I just wanted to enjoy traveling and just focus on like actually enjoying life. And then I came back from all of that, had another scan, got bad news that my cancer, yeah, it lit up on my PET scan essentially. It's in my neck. And then I got referred from my oncologist to my surgeon and did an MRI on Monday, did a biopsy on Wednesday. And now we're talking about scheduling a surgery, which could possibly be at the end of the month. But kind of we're trying to determine that, like for sure, this coming week to see what the plan is.
Oh,
Long story short.
yeah. No, thank you for sharing all that. I mean, I think it's so important for us to put it all out there because you never know someone else who is listening that, like you said, maybe they're like, God, I just want to get my mind off of this. Everyone around me, it maybe is like treating me differently, or like that's all they want to talk about. And like, I just want to work on something that makes me happy that I can't control. So I love that you highlighted that.
It's a big thing. And honestly, like my cancer is like they said it, like it's the best cancer to have. I could have it way worse and I'm not complaining in any way. I'm sharing my story because I want to make sure that people know that they're not alone through it. And that, like, if you look at my social media, it looks like I'm freaking living the dream and living my best life, but we're all going through something, and just that it's going to be okay, and just to still go after what you love and what you want. And then for the people who are around the ones who have cancer, who are sick, or through who are going through something, don't treat them differently. Like, you brought that up, and that's huge for me. Like, I don't want someone who's constantly like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, no, like my boyfriend is amazing in that sense. He's always joking around about it. So now I've just learned to like make jokes about it all the time. And it makes it so much better. Like, because stressing over it, crying over it, and I mean, I get in my feels. Don't get me wrong. Like yesterday, I had a really hard day. It happens. It's human. I'm human. But just like it's out of our control essentially. So might as well just enjoy life and just make the best of it. And I think that the people surrounding you should be a huge part of that as well.
Absolutely. Well, I love that you brought him up. What is your boyfriend's name? I know his face just because I said before
Purple
we logged.
hair.
What is it?
Purple hair. No, his name is Don.
Well, I loved there was one journey you posted about, I think you were tagging along with him, for lack of better words, during like a tattoo expo or if, and I love that. My boyfriend and I, we loved, or my boyfriend, my husband and I, sorry, I'm talking about. Oh, my gosh. When we were dating, so he was the boyfriend. I think, I don't know, time is relative, but we
Yeah.
love to say we got tattooed, quote, by a homeless person, but not really. It was somebody who was living like the van life, and it was so cool, and we love tattoos and experiences.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest, most spontaneous day. And I'm a planner, so like that was just really cool. And we got to see his whole setup. We got to meet his dog. He was essentially almost like how I'm a travel PT. He was a travel tattoo artist going uh,
Um,
from state to state to state. So
yeah.
like that's one of our favorite tattoos just because of the experience. And when I saw the post about a convention, like that's I just think about how fun that man was and his story. So I don't know. Anyways, squirrel.
I love that though. Yeah, no, it's a great time. I love going to tattoo conventions. It was definitely like an unknown world for me. But it's a ton of fun and everyone's so nice. And I mean, like it allows me to travel as well. So like he has a lot of tattoo conventions planned, and if I can go, I go. I don't know, I love it. And then he tattooed pretty much, yeah, he tattooed my legs, my whole sleeve. And when you go to tattoo conventions, there's like competitions for the tattoos. So every time we enter my tattoos, and then a lot of times we win, and I'm like, yeah, that's my tattoo.
I love that. And I love too that again, competitors listening, because I feel like we're all in different stages, right? So some people they've heard the question till like the sun comes down, but some people entering, they might be like, "Oh, thank God, like Marine has tattoos. I want to compete. I've been nervous about if that would impact my performance." So I feel like you can speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blasted. Like, I don't have like one little tramp stamp, but I mean, I have that crap too. But I, I have a lot of tattoos. Like, I have two full sleeves. My legs are almost all done, and I was actually worried about that too. And I didn't have that many tattoos at the time. I just had my sleeve. And you know how you can get feedback after the shows. I always try to get feedback, and never once have they mentioned tattoos. Never. So I think that's like a big thing to like kind of emphasize. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose like your muscle definition or whatever within your tattoos, and they have to be aesthetic, I'm assuming. But I've never had an issue on my end personally, unless they just didn't want to say anything. But
No.
like they've never mentioned it once.
And I feel like I know doing great is relative, but I feel like you've always looked great and performed really well on stage. So objectively, that matches the fact that they don't care. They just care about the package you're bringing, which is Marine.
Well, it means a lot. Yeah, I always think like I can do better, but I feel like that's everyone. But yeah, I haven't had any comments on my tattoos yet, but I'm definitely different looking backstage, 100%.
Do you have any like fun, like random stories with any of your tattoos that resonate?
Fun fact, sure, I got my first tattoo when I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah, so that tramp stamp on my back, I
Oh my
got it
gosh.
when I was 13. So we used to live on an island with my parents. It's called Mayotte. It's next to Madagascar. It's a little French island, and my dad's friend was a tattoo artist. So naturally, I told him I wanted a tattoo. But I don't know if you're familiar with the singer or if anybody else is, but EVE, do you know who that is? She had paws on her boobs. I wanted that at 13.
Oh my
And yeah. So I asked my dad, and he was like, absolutely not. He was like, you can come up with something else. So naturally, I dropped my nickname at the time was Dee Dee because of Dexter's Laboratory. So I drew a
God.
D, a paw, a D, and a paw. It was a terrible drawing. And then my dad was like, I don't want you to get a tattoo unless your mom gets a tattoo. So she got a tramp stamp too on her lower back. And and then I got my tattoo, which is absolutely horrible. And then I grew up and it's in the middle of my back. And then my dad got a tattoo and he fainted during his tattoo.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's my very first experience with my tattoo.
I love that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's a
Mhm.
family experience.
Yeah, it's gonna come off. It's horrible.
I don't know.
It's gonna get lasered off.
Oh my. Well, it'll live forever in your heart. How about that?
Go with that.
Wait, I want to hear a little bit more because, okay, so I love to do this. I love to squirrel off a little bit. So I'm currently on tour and
Uh-huh.
most of my bus is from Russia. So like it's really cool. I love talking about how cultures are so different because I feel like whenever Connor and I have left to go somewhere else that isn't the States, or if I've left to go somewhere else, it's like it's so admirable to me how different, not to like put total shade on like where I live, but I feel like sometimes even just like how you treat others, how children are raised, like just general community type um standards, I guess, or norms. Because I was actually meeting with somebody yesterday for the first time. Shout out to Abigail. We were talking about how sometimes within the fitness industry, it's not always the most welcoming, supportive environment. And with you growing up, not primarily in the US, do you feel like sometimes you still think about that? Like different social norms and like the way you treat people or the way you view life? Like, I'm just curious to think if your upbringing has impacted that.
It's definitely impacted how I view life and how sometimes I don't understand how people react a certain way. But I think it has more like I guess I'm more open-minded about things. So like people who are very different or they have I don't know, things that they do that other people won't do. Like I love that. I love people that just go for it and they don't care about what others think. Like I think in that way I'm very, very open-minded and um but
I
what
know
was
it's a big question.
like yeah, so I'm very open-minded as far as that goes. Where I struggle a little bit, and I don't think it's from traveling and from living in different places. It's how much people complain uh
Mm,
about what's going on in their lives when it's so not minimal because everyone has different perspectives on like how it's hitting them, but like in my head it's like you have a house, you have a car, you have a job, you're healthy. Like I would freaking give anything to be healthy. And I think the whole being diagnosed with cancer at a young age and been having to like deal with that for so many years, I'm very grateful for every single little thing that I have, so I'm not going to trip over the little things that happen to me. Like, Oh, I don't know. Like I have a flat tire. It's the end of the world. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. If you're around me a lot, like every time if someone complains to me about something, I'll say everything happens for a reason. Let's sit down and let's see like what the solution is and then how we can make it better. Because it happened, like what is there to do about it, right? So might as well make something good out of the experience. I'm not mad I got cancer. It made me who I am today, and I'm definitely stronger today. I struggle with it some days, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So I think that's the main thing that kind of shaped me in the person that I am. I definitely live life to the fullest, or at least I try to. But I think that's where also I struggle when people are just down all the time, when they have a lot going for them. Because same thing, I grew up in Zimbabwe in Africa. People had nothing. Like when I tell you they had nothing, they had absolutely nothing. And they were the happiest people I've ever met in my life. So if they can do that, why can't we do that when we have so much more than them? So that was a big answer to your question, but
No, that was the perfect answer. That's exactly what I mean, is just circumstances, I think, putting into perspective, like you said, whether that's being less hard on ourselves every day, being more gracious of just the little things in our daily life, or even just treating people nicely around us, you know. I think sometimes I think that there is so much love and support in the industry and in the world in general, but sometimes say the first competitor, if it's their first time and maybe they didn't have the best experience and they say, oh man, the fitness world is nasty, or people are out to get each other. It's competitive. And I think that's why I love bringing people on like you. And I love sharing the why behind something like a hobby or the lifestyle behind the people, their stories, because there is more than just getting into a bikini on stage, and it's not that serious.
it's
Like,
not. It's really not. And you can't go off of, if this is like your first competition or whatever, you can't go off of how like people look either. Cause honestly, I have an RBF. Like if you see me backstage or anywhere for that matter, I look mean. Like I'm so serious all the time.
you're also beautiful, so it's intimidating.
Oh, thank you. I don't
Yeah.
think so, but it means a lot. So I've had people tell me, gosh, like you look really mean and like it was hard to like you're not really approachable. So I'm working on that, by the way. That's one of my goals this year to just have more of a like when people look at me instead of just looking away, like actually smile. I'm not a mean person, I promise, but that kind of leads me to the point like maybe someone like looks the way they do, but they're actually not so bad. And backstage, I don't know if you saw the clip. Actually, Jennifer Dory talked about like my cancer story and stuff and why I competed. When I went backstage, and what like you guys didn't see on camera is that probably about 10 to 15 girls came and gave me a hug.
Oh,
And that, I don't know, it just, there was like a family sense to it. And it just meant a lot. Like I didn't talk to half of the girls who came to me. So that meant a lot. And then at the next show, like, I don't know, it was just, I feel like once that happened, my mind kind of opened up to like, okay, well, everybody's nervous. Like we're all just doing the same thing. We're competed against like I always compete against myself essentially. And I feel like everyone's kind of doing the same thing. So it really helped. And I don't know. It makes it more fun like when you try to like interact with the girls and stuff. And there's some nice people out there. So I would
yeah,
say if you want to do it, just go for it. It's worth it at least once.
absolutely. No, I think that I love that you mentioned that because it's like people remembered, oh, these are just other humans and we all
Yeah.
have a story. And
Uh-huh.
wow, that gave them permission to realize, like you said, she's not my competition. She's just another person here that worked just as hard, if not harder, than me. And I love that. I love that those people showed you the love that day.
Yeah, it was definitely probably one of the best experiences in my life. It was unreal for sure.
That was the high roller, right?
It was, yeah.
Okay. It looked like a really cool show, even just aside from just a beautiful experience. And um, that's always been one I've had my eye on too. So that's
To do it. It was like very well put together. It was very organized. And it wasn't like it didn't drag or anything. You know how some shows kind of drag and it takes forever and you're just sitting backstage and just waiting and waiting and waiting. That one went by pretty quickly. Like it was just, and watch me say that and now it's going to be packed and it's going to take forever. But it was, I definitely recommend that show. Like if I'm to do just one show this year, it'll be that one 100%.
I love that.
Mm.
You mentioned, which I want to ask you in a second about the goals, because you said it's one of your goals, but when you mentioned how your demeanor is backstage too, it's so funny. I feel like it's something I'm working on. Naturally growing up, I've always been really friendly and really talkative. And people that come to Arizona later, they've told me that Arizona, when they visit, that they don't think that it's super friendly off the bat. So people wouldn't know this. I don't know if I've ever like told people, but growing up being nice and talkative, it's like I was always told that people thought it was weird because I just led with like, hi, like, very honest conversations, like, do you want to be my friend? And as an adult, I've realized that I like kind of carried that. So when I'm in situations like competing, when I'm anxious, I retreat and I get quiet. And it's
Oh
not
yeah, yeah.
I'm shy. It's just like it's like, oh, well, I've been labeled as like weird before, like for being like overly friendly. And so I've noticed that as an adult, I'm like, why do I like around people I don't know? Because I'm not a shy person at all, but around people I don't know, I get like really quiet. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm working on fixing too, because I'm like, I realize that's a learned behavior. So it's interesting how we are all literally working on just how we act as humans backstage, like just
Mhm.
or in life in general, you know? But anyways, you said that was one of your goals this year. Are there any other ones top of mind that now that we're like in February, maybe some have become more clear for people?
Yeah, so yeah, one of my goals is definitely be more approachable. I'm very similar to you in the way that I shut down when there's a lot of people. It takes me a little, like I said, I'm friendly, but it takes me a while to open up. So typically I'm very quiet in the beginning. I kind of like listen before I start talking, if that makes sense. Kind of a protective instinct in a way.
Mhm.
And so I want to work more of being more like open, I guess, not seeing everybody as someone who's going to hurt me in the end.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my goals for sure. Another goal is to get out of this, if I am going to get this surgery, to get out of it even stronger and to build a better physique than I had last year. I definitely want to do a show no matter what. So I'm hoping to get the surgery done if it's going to happen sooner than later so that I can get back on my feet and just come back even stronger and not let it put me down if that makes sense. I want to say my part of that like goal is to kick cancer's butt, but I can't really control that. So we're just gonna take that one day at a time. And then let's see. So that's two goals right there. And honestly, I love what I do. Yeah, like I said, I'm an audiologist in the hospital, so I do that full time. I started personal training on the side with everything that happened like throughout my life. I love helping people. So being an audiologist, I help people hear again. I live for that. Like it's the little victories, like them being able to hear their spouse again, or I don't know, it warms my heart. And I got into this profession because hearing loss runs in my family. But I also started doing personal training on the side this year because I deal with like I've been dealing with self-confidence issues, like eating disorders, like not feeling great about myself, all the stuff. And I want to help women feel better about themselves again. So I have a few clients, and like one of them, she's like, I'm not tired anymore. I feel better about myself. I don't have to like go to the doctor anymore. And it's just little things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I helped her do that.
Oh,
So one of my goals is to grow that because I do want to help more people. And I think that I've been through a lot experience wise that can allow me to kind of like have that reach and say, hey, like, listen, I feel the same way. Cause like that client in particular, she was like, I really look up to you. How do you do it? I'm like, honestly, like I struggle more than you know. I just don't put it out there. And I'm like, crap, like maybe I should because people think that I'm this like confident thing walking around all the time. But actually deep down, every time I walk around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like crap right now. So I want to like really use what I've been through to kind of reach out to as many people as possible because I do know that a lot of females and like especially like women, I think, struggle with that for sure. So that's my goal to kind of, I guess, help as many people as possible at my full-time job and then on the personal training side.
Yeah, I love that. It's like everything you said, it's the real raw stuff in life that matters. Like
Mhm.
people being able to hear again, giving people the confidence to love themselves or physically be able to do things in their life. So I completely understand the why behind all the things you're doing every day because even in my profession, it's so easy, I think, sometimes to get so maybe just to take for granted, like what you get to do every day, how you
Yeah.
get to help people every day. So 100% I resonate with everything you said, which I didn't even ask you. Usually I ask this, but what originally got you into bodybuilding?
Um, Actually, it was when my cancer came back the first time. So I I did my undergrad in TV and film with a minor in journalism. So nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. I
Wow.
graduated and I was like, gosh, I hate this. I was gonna go originally in journalism, but looking after like the bad that happened, like that just props to the people who do it. I couldn't do it. And then I met this girl. I don't remember how I met her through school, I think. And she was like, yeah, I'm a speech pathologist. I love what I do. You should come observe me one day. And then I went to observe her and I was like, gosh, I love this. And she also did bodybuilding. And right around that time, I got like, I was told that my blood work got worse. I needed another treatment. And she was like, there's a show, you should do it. And I did it. It was like, I think the show was the week before my treatment. And I also did a pageant 2 weeks before that. I know, pageant meet. It was weird. Um, but yeah, I guess like that's been a thing in my life when I've had to deal with like big life events. I try to find something that I can control and I kind of go through with it. And bodybuilding has been my out. So it's been, I don't know. There's a lot of things that have gone out of control in my life, if it makes sense. And bodybuilding, I have control over. So I can control what I eat. I can control how much I work out, and it's helped me mentally and physically. I also had a disorder, eating disorder growing up, still struggle with it here and there, and it's helped me kind of like control that as well. So I stumbled across it accidentally in some way. But I've definitely been hooked. I took it really, really seriously. I think like going to the gym and stuff in 2020, and then took competing seriously in 2023. But yeah,
Wow.
it's a fun journey.
Yeah, no, and it's so many other questions too came to mind as you're talking about your very unique experiences because the fact that more than once you have actively been prepping when your body hasn't been 100%. And in my mind, I think, wow, there must have been so many curveballs and so many elements that you had to play around with because I mean, I don't think that's something many people can say that one, they've done bodybuilding, let alone as long as you have, and two, they've done it when their body hasn't been 100% healthy.
Mm.
What are some things that were challenges or maybe some special considerations that had to come into play since you were actively battling cancer while doing prep?
For me, it was more because it's thyroid cancer. So I don't have a thyroid. So I'm on Synthroid. So basically, it's to replace the thyroid hormone, and it's trying to balance that out. So like if you take too much of the medication, it has some side effects. If you don't take enough, it has some side effects. So like as I'm prepping and losing weight, like I would have heart palpitations or I would have like some side effects because like my medication is too strong now because I'm losing weight. So I have to be careful with that. And then sometimes it's harder for me to lose weight comparing to other people. So I have to work a little that much harder. And also, I don't take any supplements at all, like nothing. Like I don't even take vitamins. I'm very paranoid as to what I put in my body at this point. I made the mistake in the past of taking supplements to try to like kind of like fat burners, all that stuff. And my blood work came back really, really bad. And I don't know if it's because I'm more susceptible to other people than other people, or I have like a lower immune system. But ever since, yeah, I don't even take vitamins or anything. So like 1,000% not. Like I don't do anything to give me that edge, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
have to work that much harder. But I'm not trying to go pro or anything. I'm doing this like for myself and really for myself. Like I don't, if I go pro, it'd be amazing, but I'm not doing it for that. I mean, I think otherwise I'd be doing a lot more shows. I'm doing it. Yeah, I to get my mind off of things is for one. And I love the sport. I love that it's constantly evolving. I love the changes that like happen in my body the whole year, and it never ends, and you can constantly work on yourself. I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah. No, I 100% resonate with what you said because it's so funny. Again, yesterday there were two people that I got to meet for the first time just based off of Competing World and the podcast. And we got to talking about that, how this sport is so much deeper than just I want to get on stage, I want to get my pro card, I want to go to Olympia. For
Mhm.
some people, they actually enjoy, myself included. So I 100% everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, it for me, it has to be more than just the show and the placing. Otherwise, I will not make it.
Yeah.
It has to be about the life lessons, the accomplishment, the process, proving to yourself you can do it. Like you said, choosing something in your reality that makes you happy and makes you feel like, wow, I did that,
Mhm.
versus just, someone decided to tell me that I got this place in this day. And it just, I think I want to say that because some people, and I don't know if this is true, but I imagine some people they measure success to the pro card or to the status they have made it to. And for people, say if they're shopping around for a personal trainer, someone might say, oh, well, I don't know, this person doesn't have their pro card. Well, they could have gotten their pro card, within 1 year. And maybe that's great. I'm not discrediting that person, but it's more than that. It's
Yeah.
to how to handle the emotions of prep, the balance of life with prep, deciding not to do a show, how to deal with feelings when things don't go to plan or when your body doesn't cooperate. So I think I love the fact that you mentioned that it really is the process and the journey, because I think that your clients would appreciate that you know how to coach and handle the life proportion of it, not
Mhm.
just the let's get you this placing. Some people that's their goal and like that's their coach, but uh,
Yeah.
for me, I'm very much like you. It's like the sustainability and appreciating the life component in a long-winded way.
100%. And then that way, like if you don't place or you're not like you don't get first place, it's not destroying your life essentially. And like the prep and stuff, I mean, it's definitely there's hard times, but I feel like if you enjoy every single moment of it, then it makes it worth it. On stage, there are so many variables that you cannot control. Like what the judges are looking for, who you're going against that day in your category, who showed up. I mean, at the show I did last year, the girls were just friggin' I don't know, they were on a whole other caliber, and I was like, I cannot compete against that. Like I already knew like there was no chance. You know what I mean? Like, and if it would have been another day, maybe I would have competed against like different girls. But I didn't go in there trying to win. I was like, okay, this was my goal. I got here. I'm doing the damn thing. And that's it. And I feel like a lot of times like that's how it should be, because if I had gone there and I was like, I'm going there for first place, whether or not I had a 3 week prep, wow, I would have been very, very disappointed. But no, I was so happy. I got off stage on a high, even before knowing whether or not I placed. And then I had my pizza, and I was on a high for sure.
See, it's the things in life that matter.
Exactly.
Do you have any like, okay, I'm totally putting you on the spot with some of these and you're doing so great. Do you have any like funny, relatable, or embarrassing moments that have happened to you? It could be prep related or not. It could just be something silly that happened to you this week, but
Oh, this week.
or prep
Oh,
wise.
oh, okay.
I
I
just
was
try to
like,
make
hold
it.
on, this week.
No, no, no. Some people have like really funny, like behind the scenes, like, oh my God, this happened to me at this show, or this happened to me during this prep. Um, and usually I'll try and come up with one too. That way someone's not alone. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I love just finding the stupid stuff to laugh at. So while we're on the topic of show day and like your pizza, and it just made me think, what's like a funny, embarrassing moment that has happened to you?
Okay, so my boyfriend is a tattoo artist, right? Completely different world. So he came with me to one of my shows, and he's been obviously like by my side throughout this whole prep, but things were very like basic as far as like prep goes. But we went to Vegas for the show, so I couldn't like traveling wise, like it was, I mean, personally, I didn't bring eggs, egg whites, and all of that. So breakfast was not egg whites. And so in the morning, I had my cream of wheat and I had to have protein, and I didn't prep chicken either. I just brought tilapia. So then I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? Like, this sounds so good right now. I mean, when you're on prep, like this was like
Yeah.
a couple of days before show day, like anything sounds good. Like you just try to make it work. And I was on a tilapia kick. Like I was a big fan of tilapia. I haven't had it in like 2 months. I probably would. Um, so I prepared my cream of wheat. I measured my tilapia. I put some salt, mixed it together, and he looked at me. I I was like, I don't understand the problem, and he was like, "You are a sick person." But yeah, so I think that was like one of the things where I was like, wait, maybe it's kind of gross, but it was so good. Actually, I highly recommend it.
Honestly, though, like you said, we are like a different human at that stage.
Yeah.
Like Connor loves to tell the story and he tells it in such a dramatic way. But when we were on our flight to, oh my gosh, I think was this Junior Nats? I don't know. It was either Junior Nats or it was Amateur Olympia. I can't even remember. I was blonde, so I think it was Amateur Olympia. Yeah. So I remember I pre-packed everything in Ziploc bags because it was going from Arizona to Florida. It was in Florida that year. And me, I'm a very conscientious human too. So like the idea of me bringing fish on a plane, I was so
I
anxious
can't do it.
about.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was like, I have to eat it. I have to do what I gotta do, but I'm gonna try and be as like quick and subtle as possible so no one gets any
In the
fishy smell.
bathroom.
What's that?
You eat it in the restroom.
Oh my God, no. I don't know if I don't know if I could have done that. Like public airplane bathroom. Oh no. But that would have contained it. No, instead, I literally made myself like hobbit size small while I was in like the window seat and I like crouched in with my Ziploc bag and I was like shoving my nose in my mouth into
Closing the area.
yeah, I was just like little oink oink pig style, just like stick shoving my face in the Ziploc bag. And he's like, this is worse. But I was like, I'm so mortified about like the circulating air it's
Yeah.
like waft the fish. So I just like shoved it into my mouth. And he's like, that is actually disgusting. It's like, I have to eat it. I don't know. Like, look
I'm glad
away.
I'm not the only one. I get that. Like, I was eating cold fish for my whole prep because I didn't want people at work to smell fish.
Hmm.
And then smelling, that's always a big thing for me on prep. Like I'm a big foodie. Like I love food. I will smell everything that people eat. So I'll have people eat it and I'm like, let me smell it. And like once, I guess this is like humiliating, but I'll just say it. My coworker was done eating, like I think it was chips or something, and she put the thing in the trash, and I was like, oh my gosh, you didn't let me smell it. And she was like, do you want me to get the wrapper from the trash? And I'm like, can you please? And I was literally sniffing it in my office, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so weird.
Oh my gosh. Why
So,
did I love that
yeah.
though?
But they know at work, they all know. They're like, you want to smell it? And I'm like, yeah.
You're like, it feels so good to be seen. Oh my gosh.
Little
Man, I
thing.
will say, like, me and food while being on a tour bus, like, it is like a whole other Shannon, too. Like, speaking of like all the food and all the smells, like, I'm officially in YOLO mode on, well, I shouldn't say, okay, for me, I'm on
Yeah.
YOLO mode with food, which I feel like is important to tell people because I think, hold on, squirrel moment. When's your birthday?
October 11th.
Okay, I don't know why. I don't know why I thought for a second that maybe you were a Virgo. You're not a Virgo. What
Wait,
is your sign?
I'm a wait, why can't I think the scale?
Oh, Libra.
Wow. Thank
Libra.
you. I was like, it
Yeah.
starts with an L.
Yeah. You're good.
Wow. Okay, we're
Scales
good.
and scales and balances.
Yes.
So I mean kind of similar like energy as far as like fairness and weighing things out.
Yeah.
So the Virgo in me, like I do like to plan, I do like to be like very ambitious. So when I originally got this, for lack of better words, gig of going on tour, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do what most wouldn't do. I'm gonna get on the tour bus and I'm gonna be on prep. And
Oh my
then and then I got on the bus and I was like, but wait, what if I'm never gonna be on tour again? You just never know. And like,
yeah.
so I was like, I don't want to get caught up in being perfect and like you just I don't know. The why was let's do it just to see if I can do it. But then I was like, I also think I need to work on personally being present and being in the now and letting go of control. So it's interesting. It's a different type of goal. And food is one of them. Like we eat at crazy times of night because we start so late. So we get show food at like 10 o'clock at night. And it's
God.
like internally, I'm like, I'm hungry because our work day is shifted. But
Yeah.
every bone in my body is like, all these competitor habits are so different. Like, so
I can't even imagine. But yeah, it's hard sometimes to be like, okay, I need to enjoy and I need to like live in the moment. But that's why I gave myself that break. Like in December and January, I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy, live life. And now I to like the regular person, I look fine, but to myself, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go back to competing again. And that's like a big struggle right now. But yeah, I think definitely the balance with like enjoying life, food, and then prep. I think you made the right choice though.
thank you. I appreciate that. Because like you, same thing. I'm like, this is not not that I'm trying to look like peeled
Yeah.
24/7, but like reeling it in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so funny because everyone on tour is like, oh, that's so cool. You're a bodybuilder. And like, it's almost like a little bit of weird pressure because one person they saw me order Chick-fil-A and they're like, you're ordering Chick-fil-A? Why are you ordering Chick-fil-A? I thought you're healthy. It's like this is so bad. I don't need external voices. Let
I
me
know
live
you're
my
like, I'm already dealing with mine.
life.
Yeah, sometimes like at work, I'll like have a snack or something, and they're like, "Are you allowed to eat that?" And I'm like, "Mind your own business."
Yeah. Let me smell my food in peace, okay?
It's rough.
Oh my gosh.
But it's funny because yeah, same at work. Like they know that I do shows and stuff. I do bodybuilding. And as soon as like we started talking about surgery, the guy was like, don't worry, it's a 2 week downtime and then you can start lifting light, but you have to take it easy. And I was like, okay, 2 weeks. And then my mom called me and she's like, are you even gonna be able to eat? I know you eat like every couple of hours. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. But it's funny how your brain is just like trained to basically like
Yeah.
hmm.
Very regimented. But
Yes.
again, another valuable lesson. It's like the whole picture, not just stepping on stage, but like all these other things throughout. Because if you take it seriously, and I mean like on a spiritual level, seriously, not like a performance level, it's
Yeah.
like it's important to learn all these year-round behaviors, which again, plugging you again, it's like when someone says, "Do I need a coach really if I'm not training for a show?" Yes,
Hmm.
there's so many things that come up just life-wise that will make you more successful. Like these normal habits, like, oh, I get weird when my coworkers ask me about food or I want to go on vacation. What can I do? Or so I don't know. I'm just really grateful for this life because I think it teaches us a lot with our bodies and how to handle everyday lessons like that.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Is there anything we didn't get to today? I feel like we chatted about some of your endeavors, but is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to today?
I don't think so.
Okay.
A lot. Like I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, those are definitely the big things in my life right now.
Cool. Well, I
Traveling, because I was on prep and going to the tattoo conventions. So that was that was a big thing. Because I mean, when you go to like when you travel in the first place, it's not the easiest. And on top of that, tattoo conventions, I mean, there's like a lot of eating, drinking, and all that stuff. Um, we went to in November, the show, I think was like November 14th. I was 2 weeks out and there was a convention in Florida. I literally packed every single meal. So I had like all of my meals pre-packed and I was like at the convention, like eating my tilapia and my rice. But I made it happen. So like I feel like if you really want to do something, whether it's bodybuilding or anything like that, if you set your mind to it, you'll figure it out and you'll find a way to do it. So I think that's the last point I want to make. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that is such a valuable point. And I think again, somebody listening has been in that scenario or they're currently in that scenario. And I think there's so many themes there too that we didn't necessarily unpack, but just to mention, you grazed over your support system, and I feel like it's so valuable to have people around you support you, but then also, like you said, you were going to the conventions to be there and support your partner.
Mhm.
I think highlighting that give and take as well with not being afraid to show up and do what you can to control your environment that day, like packing your food, but then still showing up for your loved ones, even when you're 2 weeks out and it's maybe not the easiest conditions to be in.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like you have to make sure that you don't forget that because you don't want it to impact your relationships. Like bodybuilding's great, but it shouldn't like affect your relationship with your loved ones, your friends, because that's huge and that's going to impact you mentally as well. So, yeah, it wasn't easy, but it helps that he's very, very supportive. So, like, I had a hard time finishing my meals, and he would be like, "No, you need to stay on top of your stuff." And yeah, he's definitely very, very supportive, like in every single aspect of things. But when I was going through prep, like he was my biggest, like, because I had a hard time like eating because I was stressed and that was my big challenge this prep. And he was always on top of it, making sure that I got my workouts in. And so that helps. So him being there for me, it was only normal that like I would show up to his tattoo convention. It's
Yeah.
yeah, little things like that. But yeah,
Oh.
definitely the support system is very important as well because knowing that I have him in my corner. Same thing with, I mean, obviously my family's in France, but I know that they're like always supportive and stuff. When other people judge me, so like I've had people who like make comments at work, like, why don't you ever eat the food that like people bring in and stuff? And like, I just graze past that. Like, it doesn't, I don't let it affect me. Cause again, back to the why thing, like, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know that the people who matter are in my corner. So, like, if you're going to do something, there's always going to be people who judge you and who are going to tell you, oh, you look like crap or you're too skinny. Like I've heard it all. Or you're going to be sick or you're going to make yourself more sick or whatever it may be. Like if you're doing this for the right reasons and for you, that's why you really need to do this for yourself. Nothing will phase you. Like a support system is great, but you need to be your biggest support system all the way. And that's like with everything, not just bodybuilding.
I love that. I feel like I need a mic drop after that. Like, that
I'm
was such
done.
a good.
I didn't
I
even have caffeine this morning.
That's impressive. Oh my gosh, right before our podcast episode, one of the sweet people on tour, Heston, he saw that I was gonna leave for coffee and
Yeah.
he, it's okay, like I'll put in a coffee order for you. And he like handed me a coffee through the door right before we started. I was like, you're my favorite human today.
You're the best.
Yeah.
I literally have my like pre-workout ready to go. Like there's water and everything in it. So I'm like, as soon as we finish, I'm gonna down that and go to the
Oh my gosh, heck yeah.
gym.
Well, thank you so much for starting your morning with me. And also, like, I know I said it, but I'm just really glad that you and I got a formal time just to chat and be real because you've just always been somebody I've sensed from afar. Like, you have very nice, kind energy. It's just like we've never physically crossed paths, like in
Yeah,
person.
which is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful that we were able to figure it out. And I feel so privileged to share the space with you this morning and hear your story. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone where to find you, follow you, how to work with you, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so my fitness page is Marine BFit, and there's my website is literally Marine Marine bfit.com. And then there's gonna
B,
be
but
all
not
the
BE, right? Just
B
B. Just
BE.
okay.
Mhm.
I'll write it all in the show notes, but just in case I was like
Thank
furiously typing, you know?
you.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for listening to Maureen and I this morning. If you don't already, make sure to follow and subscribe on all platforms. YouTube, you'll always get my full updates for the podcast, and Instagram, you'll get my semi-daily updates. I was doing daily updates, but lately last week I did a whole social media cleanse. So, to be determined on how frequently I post, but I do have different content on all platforms. So make sure to give a follow and stay tuned for the next one. See y'all later. Bye, guys.